Hey, welcome back. So now we're moving on to part 2, which would be Act 4. And you're gonna see that a lot of the same tree graphics are used here as in Acts 1 and 2 of this world. But more significant is the fact that I died, finally. As you can see here, it's more of a beach level than the other one. And yeah, considering that I'm gonna die a couple times here, as you see, because I fail at life and at Neo, let me take this time to just go through the story just a little bit more than I already have. So, basically what we're following here is we're following the invention of the Professor. We're never actually given a name for the guy, he's just sort of the Professor. Kind of like how in the Powerpuff Girls they always called him the Professor, but even he had the actual name of being, you know, Professor Utonium. But they didn't really stress that except for in the movie and in a couple episodes, and in Powerpuff Girls Z, which was an interesting show. Back to the storyline of this. So, this is the lovely Pow Pow Park. I'm assuming that's supposed to be some sort of Japanese name, but this game was developed in America.
Wrong,
so
sir.
It's the
Wrong.
Immersive Sonic. So, basically what we've got here is we've got the cute little invention of Super Magnetic Neo exhibiting northern and southern charges because the Pinky Gang apparently has the ability to install a bunch of magnetic-based traps all around the once peaceful, serene, and overall not deadly, surprising, I know, Pow Pow Park. So, what we're doing here as Neo, you know, cute little lovable Neo, we're dying, and we're going around stopping the Pinky Gang. Now, comprising the Pinky Gang, we've got Pinky, of course, a 2-year-old baby riding a rubber ducky. And, she is the orchestrator of the entire plot of this game. She pilots the giant robot, or at least she says she does, and, overall just seems to be the one who gets stuff done. I'm not exactly sure how a 2-year-old baby pulls off the orchestration of this humongous evil plan, but that's beside the point. On to the next villain. His name is Yazoo. He's got, I believe that's a German accent, and he's got gigantic buck teeth and is absolutely adorable. He's got the lovely, also, knack for inventing things. So he's basically the Eggman of the group. And Yazoo is basically just going to be our, okay, so he's going to tell us what he invented today, and oh, lo and behold, it has something to do with the boss we're about to fight. You'll see what I mean in half a second. The third member of the Pinky Gang, and my personal favorite, is Gazoo. And Gazoo, is sort of the strong silent type, to the point where all he does is sit there and sip his banana shake. As, you know, we'll see in half a second. Speaking of the villains, why don't we see what they're up to?
Did I tell you about the exciting expedition that I went on the other day? After consulting with our finest botanists, I climbed to the top of Mount Chiba in search of the rarest flower in all of Pow Pow Park. I had heard that this plant was magnificent, but you'll never believe what happened. When I approached the rocky ledge upon which the plant was growing, it instantly sprouted up 10 stories high. Then it grew teeth like a fierce dragon and tried to capture me with its ravenous jaws. Of course, I used the advanced combat skills learned during my days in the Pinky Legion to battle the beast. I assure you that neither of you would have survived the ordeal.
Whatever!
I love those villains so much. So, yeah, I wonder what the boss for this stage is gonna be. Is it going to be... Yeah, it's gonna be that. Anyway, so, as you could probably tell from that, Yazoo's basically giving us a foreshadowing cliffhanger, whatever note, of what we're gonna fight in 3 seconds. By the way, that adorably creepy looking thing, yeah, nowhere near as tense as that. And actually, this thing is basically a testament to just how bad animation has gotten, or how bad animation was back in the day. Anyway, this is our first boss. Pretty intimidating, and if you're not careful, it will eat you. Just as a heads up. But, for the most part, shouldn't give you too much trouble. Always stand in the back and you'll be all set. For whatever reason, every boss in this game has a knack for just, for whatever reason, throwing out those wonderful enemies at you. And just sort of, yeah, just for whatever reason, it's like, well, I'm angry. Robots, fall out of the sky. Because all he shot there were the 6 bombs that are going to hit here. And then you're going to see these lovely 2 pinky robots just pop out of nowhere. Always just suck them up. Usually they're red, so use the southern charge to draw them in. And toss the inner cube at the giant plant. Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, this is, you know, pretty, like I said, self-explanatory. Just as long as you don't stand under the shadows and actually just hide in the back corner, you should be fine. 3 hits. The thing makes a really weird noise, and it falls apart. I assure you, none of you would have been able to survive the ordeal. Anyway. And with that, the boss is defeated. So that clears World 1. So I wonder how the villains feel about this.
Boss, I have a cunning plan.
So yeah, that's basically just their reaction. Unfortunately, that's the only time we actually get to see how they react to, well, Neo owning them. But in the meantime, now that we've completed the entirety of World 1, we can exit the jungle and head on to the next stage, which will be the Ancient World. But before we do that, why don't we just go on a tour of the entirety of Pow Pow Park? But before we do that, how about a quick stop home first? Yeah, I'm not even sure why this is here, but apparently the professor has a magic mirror leading straight to the park. In other words, Neo did absolutely nothing but sit idly in a room where Petey, the cute little computer, lived, talking to the professor on an Apple television thing. There is nothing else in this room. TVs are used to save, and magic mirrors are used to go from home to here. I'm not going to question it, are you? So basically, yeah, this is our lovely little abode. Exiting there will bring us back to the main hub world. And, yeah, let me just bring you on a tour of the whole place. Again, as usual, just hitch a ride on one of these things. I'd suggest hitching onto the red one, the southern charge, to go forward. And let's just look at where we're going to be going. So, we already got through the jungle. Next would be the ancient world. Once we're done with that, we're going to go on to Minecart, the cowboy world, and finish off with one of the best themed levels I've ever seen, the future world, which will bring us straight back to home. As you notice, that was Pinky's face on the little television monitor back there. She's apparently taken over and is, as most 2-year-olds are, self-important. So that's okay. As to why these 2 villains follow her around, I don't really get it. But, yeah, it's not really that important. You know, it's kind of like questioning why, for whatever reason, Bowser turned everyone into blocks and what that's supposed to do, and why Mario breaking the innocent people open would, you know, somehow save the world. Yeah, I know, it makes absolutely no sense, but who cares? So now we're moving on to World 2. And the first level happens to have one of the coolest gimmicks I've ever seen in any game. You see, since we're in the ancient world, that equivocates to Egypt, by the way, most games would have you, oh, I don't know, riding a camel. Not this game! This game has you riding a camel cycle! And yes, that's its real name. The camel cycle is actually a motorbike that apparently lives, because whenever you get hit, the camel actually goes, oh no, kind of motion, and apparently the camel is alive. What's it doing on wheels? Anyway, yeah, this is actually my favorite world in the game. Not my favorite level, just my favorite world. Just happens to have a lot of atmosphere into it, and for the first time we get to see just how bad some of the, you know, challenges are in this game. I mean, like, how was I supposed to know that that little tiny space in between the wall and that whatever that was wasn't gonna count? As you're gonna see, you're gonna have to pull a memorization trick in a lot of points in this game. Good thing there's no real penalty for game overs outside. You have to go back to the beginning of the level rather than start from a checkpoint. But as you're gonna notice in later levels, there are no checkpoints. Actually, it's even funnier to note that in the Japanese version of the game, there literally are no checkpoints.
Good day, sir!
Which makes stuff like that incredibly annoying, even though we're sent back to the beginning anyway. Yeah, I'm not gonna force you to watch every single death that I have, especially when the levels start taking me around 10 minutes, even though they're only supposed to take me 4 or so. So, I think, is it around here? Yeah, that I start cutting out, most of my deaths. You can still, you know, totally laugh at just how bad I am, I know Texty is, by, watching the time there, because you're gonna notice that thing is gonna go up fast. And painfully, you know, notably as well. And now we're racing rogue camel cyclers. I can't believe I just said that. So, these guys have spikes on their tails and live by the whole touch damage rules of practically every game around this time. Just don't hit them and you should be fine. Now there is an upper pathway there, the little floppy disk. Yes, kids, that's a floppy disk, that little yellow thing. We used to use those to save stuff in the computers back in the day. Anyway, collecting the little floppy disk. Wow, I just realized how dated that makes this game. Collecting the floppy disk will send you to the bonus stage. I collected every single floppy disk for World 1. I'm not going to do that here, but I am going to make a special video showing where each bonus stage entrance floppy is, and also I'm going to show off each bonus stage in the game. Among the extra super special, not really, challenge missions in this game. You'll be able to see that. It's really actually quite unique and fun, and nowhere near as charismatic as the actual game, but that's beside the point. And with that, that brings us to the end of World 2-1, or rather Level 2-1. Yeah, this is around the point in the game when I get to start showing off how much I suck, but that's beside the point. You'll see, my finish time is going to start getting bigger and much further away from the actual best time, but from what I understand, I'm also not alone in, well, finding this game incredibly hard. That doesn't break my opinion of it. I still think it's an absolutely amazing game. And yeah, with that said, I'll see you in part 3 when we tackle on my favorite level in the game. See you then!